From LA Late headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LA Late.
It's a huge afternoon as major news was released minutes ago that explains where this economy is, and it's not particularly in a good space. We'll go over why we're ending the first 6 months of the year with the S&P reporting its lowest performance in nearly a half century. That is why you got to get the fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state. In this recording, we'll go over the inflationary numbers released this morning, the latest and concerns about employment released as well. That's why you got to get that fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state. Go right in this video and become a member. Click the link where it says join the channel and become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. And also subscribe. Over this major broadcast today with a lot of major breaking news, we're going to go over what that inflationary number said this morning. It was not good. What happened with that unemployment number released this morning? It was not good. And what happened with the Dow, the NASDAQ, the oil, and the OPEC Plus announcement minutes ago about gasoline production in the Middle East? Not good as well. Is there anything good in here? Well, the flowers are looking really nice today. Other than that, there's also a fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state. That's why you got to get it. It's a narrative across the board, whether you're talking about financial analysts or stockbrokers or any type of them at issue, that the negativity of the markets are there, and that is why it's not getting any better. We're going to look at the importance of why it's needed to get the money right now, because the phases of the economy are changing very dramatically. The news today was so weak on the economic front that you know that Jay Powell is going to come in very aggressively in July. But would he come in aggressively in September? We'll analyze that in today's recording. Plus, we'll analyze whether the Jay Powell and the Federal Reserve will ever retrack back and pivot and change their policy adjustment if they're shrinking the economy too quickly. That's the breaking news today as well. Plus, we'll look at what those comments were from Jay Powell last night, if you missed them last night on Evenings LA. And of course, we're going to get those four stimulus checks in every U.S. state. Subscribe to this channel, become a member, and sit back for a major one-hour broadcast from the shores of Santa Monica, California, with the breaking news today. It all starts right now for June 30th, 2022, on a beautiful 4th of July weekend. And good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Was it not just a few days ago when we said we would not have a lot of economic data to look at in the next few weeks? Well, guess what? We were wrong, because a sea of economic data was released today, and it was bad left and right, over and under. We're going to go over the data of that point. Remember that a recession's likely if gasoline stays high. Well, it is. If the CPI stays high, oh boy, it may even be higher. That means the Federal Reserve is going to raise those rates. We're in three phases of this economy. The current phase right now to September, and then what's happening in less than 60 days away? Well, I'll explain it right now. It's a big, bold, beautiful day, and welcome. How are you? I hope you're having a beautiful afternoon. I'll be with you all weekend long. I know it's 4th of July weekend. I know a lot of people just rather, eat barbecue than look at me. They rather, burn some chicken on the barbecue rather than look at me and hear about Jay Powell. But come on, I go really good with a side of ribs. So make sure you watch all weekend long. I will be here on air for all one of you. No, I'm not. I'm being facetious. I know a lot of people just don't watch anything on 4th of July weekend, then show back the next Monday and say, what do you have for me? I have Gas X for you. I have some milk and magnesia for you on Monday morning. So don't worry. I will have everything ready for you after 4th of July weekend. I'm being kidding. Let's go to the latest details on what's going on with this economy. It's as though everyone knows it's 4th of July weekend, and they're giving you a massive side course, entree, and extra sides of economic data going into the weekend. Look at this, folks. Here we go. We got data left and right. Core producer consumption expenditure prices were released this morning. and they're horrible. They were up 4.7% year to date, a little bit less than expected. Headline inflation remained high. Oh boy, we got a lot, and we're going to go over each of these data points right now. The narrative at issue is that everyone is financially hurting. I don't care what class of the economy you are. High income, middle class, lower income, SSI, SSDI, everyone is hurting for different reasons, and you need to get this money right now. Forced stimulus check in every U.S. state, and I'm going to show you how to get it. You need to get it right now. This is a wake-up call, if it ever was, because we're ending the first half of this year with the worst performance of the S&P in 50 years. Become a member. Go right in this video right now. Subscribe. Hit that join the channel button and get that forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. We're going to get those checks in just a second. What are these checks? They're for you. Single individual, $75,000 less, get them. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get them. If you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, go get them. How do you get them? I'll show you in the second half. These are over $100,000 per person. They're not from Congress. They don't need a bill. They don't need a vote. I found them for you. I found them in March. I know we're going in July. The money's not going to be there forever, so you need to get them. We're going over them in just a second. They're huge. They even include an MSC for you in there as well. Very exciting news. Now, with that news, let's go back to why it's so important to get those checks right today. Economic data that came in today was really bad, starting with the core personal consumption expenditure prices announced this morning before sunrise. It rose 4.7% year to date. That was a little bit less than the previous month, 0.2% less, but still around levels that we have not seen since the Reagan administration. Wow. And remember, Reagan administration numbers are the other numbers we're basically looking at. Most of these numbers are 1980s and 1970 numbers. They're so high. Wall Street had been looking for the read to come in at about 4.8%. It was a miss, good, but it's still almost on the money, 4.7%. You don't want it to be a beat because it's an inflationary number. This is an inflation number. But in there, headline inflation was much higher, rising nearly 1%. It was 0.6% for the month. Higher than the gain for the month of April, which was 0.2%. Year to date, how high is that? Too high. Higher than Nancy's hairstyle? Yeah. Higher than my hairstyle? Oh, absolutely. It's definitely compared to today's hairstyle. Yes. It was up 6.3% year to date at that headline inflation. Ouch. Yeah. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? That's Jay Powell taking his fist and hitting it on the table right next to me. He is angry. He is angry. Again, Jay Powell's tools didn't work. Even his barbecue tools started working. I guess he needs to get some new tools. Maybe they have some tools on sale for 4th of July weekend. Federal Reserve's tools to get inflation down are not working. I said they would not work because the reason inflation is high is gasoline. More about that gasoline in a second. The number was so high, it was 6.6%, 6.3%. It was the same as April, but slightly down from March's 6.6%, which is the highest number again since 1982. There's that number again, the 1980s. Look at how Jay Powell has not succeeded. Jay Powell has been raising interest rates in this economy since, most noticeably, May. Remember May? May was that month. Well, let's take it back to March. March was the month where viewers said, LA, go give me 4 stimulus checks in every U.S. state. And I did. They're coming up in a second. Why did viewers say them then? Because by March, viewers were concerned that the Build Back Better Act was not paying them a check at the time. Here's a reality check. It's still not. And you need to get this money later in this recording because there's a financial cliff. A financial cliff means that Americans are going to fall off of it. They're going to go to the edge of something on a particular day. You think they're totally fine. They're going to fall off the financial cliff because they're not prepared for the reality of how bad this economy is. When is that financial cliff? In my opinion, the financial cliff is less than 60 days away. Scary? Yes. September? Yes. So that financial cliff is so close, you need to prepare accordingly. That's why viewers back in the month of March said, LA, go get me 4 stimulus checks in every U.S. state. But what happened in May? Do you remember? Do you remember? How good are you on memory? What did you just say, LA? I don't know. I'm just not paying attention. Is there a check in my state? You're not paying attention. In the month of May, Jay Powell had that first interest rate spike. That's when we heard the Target and Walmart earnings. Remember? The Target and Walmart earnings was the start of the implosion. They missed dramatically, and then we started to see bad news after bad. Yeah, remember that week? Those, and then that's when we saw that CPI number. Yeah, that week of May may look like what we're going to see in July. I'm getting to that in just this 1 second. So what's important is that J. Powell has done nothing to get inflation down when you're looking at today's read for the core producer personal consumption number, because it was 6.6% in March, it was 6.3% in April, and today it is 6.2%. He ain't getting it done. He ain't getting it. Headline inflation. So it's 6.3. It was 6.6% in March. It was 6.3 in April, and it's again 6.3% today for a number that's basically a May read. This is a May read, by the way. Awful. He's not doing anything. Here's goods inflation. Goods inflation rose 9.6% month to date. Ouch. Where services prices were up 4.7% compared to April. Folks, yeah, there's a lot of inflation. What is the translation for this? This is a lot of inflation, and this is more inflation than last month. This is more inflation than the month before. This is a lot of inflation in the space of a short period of time in which J. Powell has had a 3/4 basis point increase, half and quarter, and yet the inflation, can you finish the sentence? I bet you can. If you're in the live chat, what is the rest of the sentence? And yet inflation has not peaked. It has not peaked. Inflation has not peaked. This is scary. This is very, very scary for so many reasons we'll get to in a second. It's basically saying that everything that J. Powell's done that's hurt the economy has not worked. Exactly what yours truly said back in March. I say he's going to keep on raising the interest rates, and he's not going to get inflation down, and he's going to raise them higher, and he's still not going to get them down. As someone once said, Ellie, can you go run the Federal Reserve? I can't. The doors are locked. Here is what's going on. The other number released this morning. Unemployment. We were waiting for this number. If you tuned into Mornings LA live on air, you saw it first. That was the breaking news story. I had predicted the new jobless claims 3 weeks ago would be 230,000. Came in at 229. Last week I said 230 again. It came in at 227. I predicted 230,000 again this week. Where did it come in at? Did I get it right a third week in a row? I did. 231,000 for the week ending June 25th. And let me make very clear, they have reassessed the number for last week up. So last week was originally 227. It is now, I think it's now 232 because they reassessed it up. I'm 3 for 3. I'm 3 weeks in a row correct on my data projections. Continuing claims are also really bad. S&P is now the worst in nearly 50 years. The first half of this year, the stocks now have performed the worst in nearly 50 years. The combination of slowing growth and fading EPS projections and ongoing monetary tightening has weighed on the economy's systematic for months and caused us concern again this morning, says Adam Crisafulli of Virtual Knowledge. This is the worst performance of the S&P since 1962. So that's not the Reagan administration. That's not even almost the Carter administration. The Dow is down 40 points today, 1%. The Nasdaq is down 2%. And let's look at oil and gas. Oil is at 114, international Brent crude, relatively flat, but it's down 2%. And gas is hovering at 4.857 before the Memorial Day weekend. That's down about 20 cents the last few days. Interesting side note, this belongs nowhere in the broadcast, normally, so I'm going to slide it right in here. Big win for Joe Manchin. Remember, what state is Joe Manchin from? If you're in the live chat right now, what state is Joe Manchin a senator of? If you wrote West Virginia, you got it right. Notice the title of this Supreme Court decision released minutes ago. It's called West Virginia versus the EPA. Yep. West Virginia sued the EPA, saying that it did not have the authority to set standards on climate changing greenhouse emissions for power plants. And the state of West Virginia won. In a 6-3 ruling by the Supreme Court released minutes ago, it says Congress, aka Joe Manchin, has to determine whether to do climate determinations like these, not the EPA. This is a big, hit against Joe Biden. A big loss for Joe Biden, a big win for Joe Manchin. There's little reason to think that Congress assigned these such decisions, says the decision, the Supreme Court decision obtained by LA News minutes ago. Congress implicitly tasked it, but there are very clear points. It's not plausible that Congress gave the EPA the authority to adopt on its own such a regulatory scheme. Such a decision of magnitude consequences rests with Congress itself and the agency acting pursuant to a clear delegation from that representative body. Translation? Joe Biden wants to go around Joe Manchin and try to do climate change. Can't do it. Have to pass it through Congress, and it's not going to pass because Joe Manchin will block it currently in the landscape of the makeup of Congress. Another win for Joe Manchin. Let's look at some other major breaking news today that all impact your money, all important for you to get money. What's at issue is that this is a downward spiraling of economy between now and September. Will we approach the downward spiraling faster than initially thought or slower than initially thought? You know, I think it's just really on point. I don't think it's slowing, and I don't think it's speeding up. That's why you got to get this Four Symbols check-in every U.S. state. Go right in this video right now and click the link and become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Everyone needs money. And yesterday we asked the question of where would we see the financial cliff manifest itself first? Would we see it in bad unemployment numbers? Would we see it in bad corporate earnings? You know, at this point, there's so much bad numbers out there. I just think it's going to be everywhere. You know, yesterday I said maybe it'll just be on the unemployment front. I just think it's going to be everywhere at this point. We have in the month of July monster news coming in. We have, yes, the CPI, the Consumer Price Index number, which is that major headline inflation number released in about 2 weeks from now, in early July. We have the second quarter corporate earnings from major banks, including, I think it's JP Morgan Chase in early July. All the major banks, and they expect to have major shortfalls, bad numbers across the board. We also see in the month of July, the FOMC meeting, Jay Powell's announcement of 0.75 basis point, and its impact on the consumer sentiment. There's a lot going up on July. I got to tell you, I think July is going to be the most significant month. Well, I think this is an easy one. July will be the most significant month of economic reads for your money before the financial cliff. Why? Because May was the big one. June was just sort of a continuation of May, but July is much more potent than June. Why? Because this month we've not had corporate earnings. We've had, you know, these spotted economic reports. July is going to have everything. It's going to have the economic reports. It's going to have the Federal Reserve with the interest rate spike, and then we'll have those corporate earnings on top of that. July is going to be a bloodbath. And then they're off in August when everyone sort of retreats and cries in a corner. Then they come back in September. And there's the financial cliff. Welcome. How are you? Nice to see you. Just don't trip on me. I'll trip on you. No, I'm not going to trip on the financial cliff. Thank you. Let's go back to the other breaking news that impact your money that came in minutes ago today as well. I told you there's a lot happening today. It was a monster. You know, a lot of people get things done before 4th of July weekend, but there's going to be a lot of other news this weekend as well, folks. Here you go. Bitcoin is now pushing $19,000 a coin. It is now down 58% for the year, the worst quarterly loss in more than a decade. The last time that crypto has lost half of its value was when it lost 69% of its value in 2011. If you were not invested in crypto in 2010, you, as most people were not, you would have seen just an absolute bloodbath. It went right up, it went right down. People lost fortunes. Well, at the moment, it's not looking good. And I got to tell you, it's just the start. In my opinion, Bitcoin and crypto and Ethereum are heading to the tank. They're going to they have a long way down, and the companies associated with the analysis believe it's going to get really bad. That's why we have Coinbase with the 18% layoff. We have major other breaking news as well on that front today. North Korea is believed to be behind a $100 billion crypto heist. Wow. There you go. My goodness. Other stories hitting news today is a lot of news about oil. First, The JCPOA agreement, which we talked a lot about in the month of April, which is the potential agreement between the United States and Iran, which has been in the books in negotiations for many years, but ramped up in April, has a major update today as well. What is the JCPOA? Iran was one of the major 5 countries, potentially in many regards the best option of 5 countries, to get the missing oil and to end the energy shortage. We're missing 3.5 million barrels of gasoline per day. That's because of the embargo of Russian oil. 3.5 million. There's only 5 countries you can get the oil from. We don't have it in our ground. We absolutely cannot pump it out. Those countries include Iran. Iran was the negotiating party in an agreement called the JCPOA. The negotiations predate Putin invading Ukraine, but the negotiations are about lifting embargoes against Iran for its increasing of nuclear warheads in exchange for getting their oil. Well, the deal looked really close in the month of April. It's featured on this channel. The negotiators were Germany and France on behalf of the United States and Iran in, I believe it was Geneva, Switzerland. And then suddenly the deal fell apart. We haven't heard about anything about this JCPOA for weeks. I've been talking about it a lot. Viewers remember it. Well, today we have an update, and it was not really headline news as well. I heard it in passing comment by an analyst. Iran says the negotiations are not improving, and they're not going to keep on wasting their time with it. Ouch. Why? They say the United States is not really moving on the negotiating table. Does this sound familiar? This does sound familiar. I don't know who negotiates on behalf of the United States. We seem to sort of have a position, we don't move it, and then suddenly we get ourselves into work circumstance. When's the last time we heard something like this? FPUC Retro. Nancy Pelosi holding the gun for $600 a week when Steve Mnuchin offered $400. She said no to $400, and she got left with $0. And that cost you $12,000. That was FPUC Retro. Here we're back again, another year, another bad negotiator. I don't know who the negotiator is, so it's not Nancy. But the federal government, we need the missing gasoline for us and the Western allies. We need 3.5 million barrels. Iran has it. And yet we can't close in on a deal that's been negotiated for, more than 6 months, maybe over a year. This has been going on a long time, this JCPOA. Really not promising. I don't know who's behind the negotiations, but shame on them. Also on the situation, OPEC Plus staying its course. OPEC Plus is one of the culprits for that 3.5 million barrels of gasoline missing per day. I often say 3.5 million barrels of gasoline missing per day because of embargoes of Russian oil and reduce OPEC capacity. And I just sort of skim over it because it's hard to follow. Let me explain. In the month of March, when Putin invaded Ukraine, you know what OPEC did? They reduced capacity. Darn them. They reduced capacity when we needed more capacity. Well, suddenly they started changing the course. I believe it was in early this month, thank goodness. They denounced Putin, they denounced what he's doing, and they started increasing production. The news today is they're not increasing anymore when they could, but they're still not. They agreed earlier this month that they would increase production by an extra 648,000 barrels per day for the months of July and August. Today they met today to consider doing a little bit more, but after they met the start of this month, they decided no, that they're only going to increase by 648,000 for the month of July and August, but they will have another meeting in August 3rd. So the takeaway is that based upon the determinations in early June, they're not changing course for July and August yet. Of course, everyone wants them to increase production. They're trying to return to the nearly 10 billion barrels of gasoline that they were doing in April 2020 when the pandemic started. In recent months, they've rose production of barrels to about 400,000 additional per day. Now they're at 648, but they're refusing to go any more. Why? It's really not clear. The takeaway, again, is that when gasoline's missing, gasoline prices go up. The way you get gasoline no longer missing is you go out and get it produced, pumped like OPEC Plus, or you go buy from someone who has it that's not in our food chain, like Venezuela, Brazil, Iran, and you get it there. And none of that has been achieved by the Western allies. They've understood this problem for many, many years, for many, many months, And whether it's the United States, France, or Germany, the Western allies are all culprit at this, and that's a major problem. Why is gasoline the culprit of the issue? Because this is how it works. As there's a shortage of gasoline, then gas prices go up. As gas prices go up, the CPI goes up. That's inflation. Inflation is composed of the products you buy in the supermarket and gasoline. And as the CPI goes up, then the Federal Reserve raises rates. Now, the good news today is that we're likely ending the month of June. And let me slow this down because it's a little complicated. We're likely ending the month of June with gasoline prices in the United States down for the month of June compared to the month of May. It feels like it. I think I'm right. I think they're going to be down about 20 cents because or down 10 cents because earlier in the month we were still up 38 cents compared to the month before. But it looks like we might be down, slightly down for the month. That would be promising for us because if gasoline is slightly down, then the CPI may not be that much higher or may have, yes, peaked, and the Federal Reserve may not raise rates as hard as possible. One of the most important stories being discussed today is a sort of a mirror of the story I talked about yesterday. The story I talked about yesterday is when is the financial cliff going to manifest itself, because that's when Americans are going to start looking for stimulus checks. Is that financial cliff going to manifest itself, show its face when unemployment goes out of control and the people ask for stimulus checks? Is it going to happen when the corporate earnings are major misses and the people ask for stimulus checks? Or is it going to happen at another point? Well, the other story today is when will Jay Powell change course? This one's a hard one, folks. This one's a hard one. Let me go over both of them right now for you because this is very important information. It's also hideously in depth. If unemployment continues to surge out of control, then Jay Powell's a major problem because his dual mandate. His mandate is to keep price stability, which is keeping price of goods under control, and also maximum employment. 230,000 jobless claims per week newly. Now the third week in a row. That's not good. That's not good. But if more people go higher on the unemployment to, let's say, 280, 290, then it's going to hit. They're going to look for a job. It's not going to be there. They're going to look for FPUC, PUA, LWA, EIDL grant, EIDL loans. Those things don't exist anymore, and they're going to be blindsided. On the corporate front, if the corporate earnings are so bad, they're going to start laying people off. So that's sort of a delayed response. Those corporate numbers will not be coming in for another 2 more weeks, whereas the unemployment numbers may be worse sooner. Now, let's turn to Jay Powell. One analyst came in so aggressively in his commentary this morning. Everyone was applauding him. Why? Because he said something really bluntly, and everyone was like, thank goodness someone was so blunt like that. He said, he was asked the question, when would Jay Powell pivot? When would Jay Powell stop what he's doing? And you know a lot of viewers of this channel are going to say, please, tell me when. Tell me when Jay Powell gets changed. I think Bob Aiken, I think Ed, I think a couple of viewers are going to say, please tell me when is Jay Powell going to change his mood and stop doing what he's doing. The analyst said, when Jay Powell walks that hall of the Federal Reserve and sees those names of former Fed governors etched on the wall, and he sees the 2 prior that were big financial blunder governors. And he looks at it and he's worried that his name is going to be next to it. Yeah, I think that really is true. I think that when it sets in that Jay Powell may be ending his dynasty and ending his legacy in a very bad note, he may then pivot. I know it sounds like very opportunistic, but Jay Powell generally has done really wonderful stuff for this economy until now. And when he realizes he may be getting this very wrong and may be hurting millions of Americans financially very badly, that they'll forever remember how much he hurt them and their economy, that's when the pivot may happen. The question to the analyst was, will Jay Powell pivot if the administration, meaning Biden, goes to him and says, stop it, you're hurting this economy, and you're hurting my re-election chances, and you're hurting my electorate? And the answer is perhaps no. Jay Powell may pivot sooner than that when he sees his legacies at issue. Now, the other part of the coin is the analyst was asked how bad would the situation be for Jay Powell to normally pivot if he wasn't worried about anything else. The answer was a long time. Oh, really? Yes. The analyst was looking at the the bond yield and said generally until the bond yield gets to 10%, and we're at about 7% right now, a particular bond yield, that's not until the Federal Reserve really pivots a lot. My opinion, what is my opinion? I think Jay Powell is going to do his 3/4 basis point increase in the month of July because it's just a few days away. They're going to take that vacation in August. And then I think the pivot is maybe October. I think it's really October. I think the financial, if I'm right that the financial cliff is September, if I'm right that July is going to be a bloodbath with bad news left and right, that I think that after about 2 months of pressures back against him, that he's going to back off. Finally, you're going to like this one. You know why I'm laughing? Because here I am again. I'm getting it right. How long has LA told you that inflation is not getting to 2% later this year, and that is getting to 4%? How long have I been saying that? I've been saying that since early February, so we're upwards on 5 months. Initially, I was the only person who said that. Then the Department of Labor and the Congressional Budget Office confirmed that as well. Well, one analyst today and one broadcaster who's relatively a calm broadcaster said, I just want to go to that meeting in Europe and go up and ask them, who the world thinks this ridiculous 2% inflation is going to happen later this year? The analyst was really losing it. People are getting really a little annoyed because the number is so ridiculous and it's being repeated like it's actually a reality. They should have watched me. There we go. In the second half, we're going to get those incredible 4 stimulus checks. Do you see why you got to get them? Do you see why you got to get them? These 4 stimulus checks are in every U.S. state. They're huge. They're over $100,000. You need to get them. You cannot wait. I don't think I made it any clearer than I have in this recording than ever before. $100,000 of 4 stimulus checks in every U.S. state, and that first 20 minutes of this video certainly put fire under your feet, I hope, to understand how bad this economy is, how bad it's becoming. You need to become a member, go right in this video, and join the channel right now. And in the second half of this video, we're going to go right on those checks. There's not going to be a minute of a delay right after the commercial break for about the members community page. We're going right into those checks during the commercial break. Become a member and get ready for them after the second half. Stay with me. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LA Late Daily for the excitement of the new LA Late live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LA Late at 9 a.m. Home LA Late returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LA Late at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LA Late. And the excitement continues right now in the big second half of a beautiful afternoon's LA for June 30th, 2022. Hope you're having a beautiful day. Did you become a member during the commercial break? I hope you did, because in this big second half, we're going to get these incredible checks. You deserve them, over $100,000 per person. Become a member. Go right in this video right now. Become a member by joining the channel, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Then get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And get ready, because we're going to go over those 4 stimulus checks starting right now. First, let's get our minds cleared before we get the checks. First, clear the mind and understand This is 2022. It's now almost July 2022. And the way you get forced stimulus checks in July 2022 is very different than anything you've seen before. It's very different. So I need you to forget what you did before and focus on how it's done this time. These are checks that are available right now. Number two, I need you to understand the urgency of it. We went over that early in this recording. Number three, I need you to know these are for you. Single individual, 75,000 less, go get them. Married couple, 150,000 less, go get them. If you rent, if you own, if you have children, if you don't have children, if you are old or if you're young, if you're on benefits, if you're not on benefits, go get them. These incredible checks came from the President of the United States by executive order and also from the states. Now, let me make it very clear. The money is funded 100% by the federal government. The money comes from the federal government. The person who sends you the check may be the state, but they have no say as to whether you get a check or you don't get a check generally, because this is federal money. What's important to understand for me to raise that to you is if you don't like your governor, you don't like your state, you don't like your state legislature, don't worry. It's not their money. It's not their bill. It's not their law. This is from the federal government. This is federal stimulus. All right, you ready? I give it a lettering system on this channel, and the lettering system starts in front of the alphabet. How logical is that? And that first check is, of course, a check A. $6,500 to $12,000 for a stimulus check. Yes, I don't mess around. I ensure that you get monster checks on this channel because you're going to need them. Let's look at this wonderful first check starting right now. $6,500 to $12,000 for a stimulus check in every U.S. state. You go get it. Single individual, 75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, 150,000 less, go get it. If you're on benefits, go get it. It's called the Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check. How do you get this wonderful check? Step one, go under the video. Become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP, become a member. Number two, open that membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the YouTube alert system, and go right down till you find check A. Click the link and apply. Apply. It sends you right into the nationwide website. Then choose your state. Then choose the Homeowners Weatherizing Grant and pounce and get that money. But don't stop there yet. You're going to go get Check B. Check B is a wonderful $15,000 to $80,000 for stimulus check in every U.S. state. Single individual, 75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, 150,000 less, go get it. If you are on benefits, go get it. And the average realtor child is getting $66,000 to $80,000. So how do you get this? Become a member. Go right on this video and become a member. Then subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to become a member. Then open that membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And go right down till you find Check B. Click the link. You go right into the nationwide website. You pounce. Then you choose your state. And then you apply. So simple. But you're not going to be done there yet. You're going to go get Check C. Have you been keeping track so far? Let's look back at what we've done so far. $6,500 to $12,000. $15,000 to $80,000. Well, that's over $100,000. And now we're going to Check C. Look at this. We're nearly $150,000 per person. Yes, Check C is for my renters and my homeowners. It's an MSC on average, $2,000 a month over 12 months. Go get it. Single individual, 75,000 less. Married couple. How do you get this wonderful Check C? You subscribe to the channel. You go under the video and join and become a member of the channel. And then you get that newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You go down to Check C, and it tells you where to call, what to say, and how to say it. Now, Check C is a critically important check for purposes of you, because it involves a series of items that you're going to need really badly, at least in the next few weeks and months. Check C involves rent, and you need that because there's no eviction moratorium. Check C involves mortgage help, and you're going to need that because there's no mortgage forbearance, meaning they can evict you or they can take your home for foreclosure. Number three, Check C involves utility assistance. You need that because the gas bill is going to go up. The heating oil bill is going to go up a lot. They can turn off the utilities if you don't pay the bill. It's a different year and it's a different policy. The success stories of these Check Cs date back to the earliest days of this channel. We've been doing this for 2 years since this channel launched on April 20th, 2020. And the success stories are with viewers getting monster sums of money. Monster sums of money. The money's for rent. Do you want to see them? Here we go. Do you want $30,000 for rent? Go get it. Go get check C. Do you want $15,000 for utilities? Go get it. Go get check C. Do you want combinations? Go get it. Go get check C. Nisi, Mark, Lorraine, Johnny, they all understand my recordings. You get checks. You continue to get checks day in, day out. You don't make one phone call and call it a day. No, you get checks consistently. You dedicate your time to watching this channel, knowing where the economy is, where it's going, and getting money. Nisi has gone from 23,000 to 50,000. Mark has gone from 32,000 to 50,000, then to 100,000, then to 166 because he got check B. And Lorraine has gone from 105 to about 150, 150,000 because she keeps on getting checks. Let's recap. Step 1, go under this video, subscribe. Step 2, go under this video and hit the join the channel. Become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power Casino VIP. Step 3, get that incredible membership newsletter Monday through Friday. At 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, know your time zone, there is the alert that comes from YouTube to you that says new LA post. The first line says membership newsletter. You go down, it says click here to go to the post. You go right in the post, and that is the newsletter. You pounce and you get that incredible sums of money. And there you go. That is the importance of getting the money and getting it right now and not waiting. Now, a couple of other things that will be covered tonight on Eden's L8 in Primetime, brand new show tonight at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We will be looking at where the stock market's ending at the day and ending the first half of the year. It's expected to be down. We'll also be going over the raise of your benefits if you're on SSI, SSDI, Veterans Benefits, or more. Would you like $300 more per month, or what about $400 more per month? I'll be explaining that tonight on Evenings L8. Finally, what's important to remember is to stay focused and to learn to earn. There's going to be two types of people in this landscape of the next few weeks. You and everyone else. You are the people who want to learn, know where this economy is, where it's going, and how it's heading, and learn to get that money before the situation gets worse. People who don't want to learn are not going to earn. People said, I haven't been around for a few weeks. I just showed up. Did they send out the check? That person's going to lose everything. That person is literally setting themselves up for peril. A person who hasn't been around, doesn't even know what's going on with the economy, doesn't really know much of anything, and just shows up and says, I haven't been around. Have they sent out a check? And guess what? You're going to be evicted. Maybe. Maybe you're going to lose the home. Maybe you have utilities turned off. Because if you're financially unstable right now, you're not preparing yourself for a financial future. You're not preparing yourself for the financial cliff just weeks away. You just sort of timed out. What you been on vacation for 5 months? You just showed up and you're like, did they send out a check for everyone? And that type of person is going to be in big trouble. Lastly, the person who's focused on the narrative of old news, focus on yesterday's news, last week's news, last month's news, is going to be left behind. Who is that person? That's a person asking about the Build Back Better Act. A person who's asking about the Build Back Better Act is not going to put themselves in a good position. That person is really setting themselves up for failure. Why? Because the Build Back Better Act will not send you a pot of money before September. It will at some later date. It's going to get passed, but not before September. And September is the financial cliff. And so if you're waiting around for something that's not going to help you, and you need that help, then what are you doing? There's $100,000 in every U.S. state for you today. Go get it. Go get it. I need to motivate you. I need to be the Peloton of stimulus. Come on. Bike riders, let's go. Come on. Now, remember, if you are a member, you have lots of brand new features coming. This already added to the channel. There's more features coming as well in the next few days. You have the brand new L8 worksheets. People are adoring them. They're adoring them. I created them based upon what you were asking for, based upon your comments and thoughts. The L8 worksheets are featured in the membership newsletter. Down the third line of the membership newsletter, it says L8 worksheets. You click the link, it opens the PDF. It's a series of pages that are divided upon subject matters for you to take notes on. And it's basically one PDF with 5 pages in there. And you can take notes on the subject matters you learn on that recording. So the first page goes over inflation, recession, labor, and Federal Reserve. You take notes on what you learned that day. So you go back to your notes like, I know this. I already took notes on this. I remember this. Page 2 is perhaps the most popular page, I would presume. It's a beautiful table. And that table is for Force Stimulus. It's a table created by me for you, so you can keep notes on the checks, when you applied, what date you applied, when you got funded, what months you got funded for, and notes on the contact person, because your relationship is so important. You also need to know what months you got paid for, because you're going to keep on going and give me other months. Is other pages take notes on gasoline. It has notes to take notes on raising up your benefits and more. We'll feature more tonight on Evenings LA. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, I hope you're having a beautiful day. I will be with you all throughout the weekend. So save me side of some ribs, and Blaine66 wants some ribs as well. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful afternoon. And don't wait a second. Go right on this video, become a member. Get that Force Stimulus check in every U.S. state today. Keep it positive, keep it motivated, know where this economy is going, because when you do, you'll be prepared. And have a beautiful afternoon. I'll see you tonight on Evenings LA at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.